Before I get started, I wanted to say thanks to everyone who gave advice and showed support on my last video. I'm not used to that sort of positivity in the community, and even though I used that legendary core I had on a basic continuity mod that I'm sure shocked all veteran players to their core.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Nothing.
Everyone was still understanding and a good sport about it, so thanks for that, and just bear with me. I did a lot of research to try and understand the game's basics and learn some cool tips for newcomers. So I don't have direct experience with everything I'll talk about, but with that out of the way, let's begin. Warframe is often at times described as a grindy game, and as a new player, you don't just hear that, you feel it. From the moment you start, there's this overwhelming sense of what should you do first. Should you chase new Warframes if you're going free to play? Should you build powerful weapons, or at least go for their components? Or figure out how the heck the Void Relic system works? Grinding in Warframe isn't just like a task, it's a journey. And today I'll walk you through what that journey looks like from the perspective of a new 10. Spoiler alert, it's very intense and exhausting, but it's also weirdly satisfying all at once. So what does grinding even mean in Warframe? Well, to put it simply, you're constantly farming for resources, blueprints, and just progression in general. It sounds simple on paper, but the sheer variety of what you need to grind for can make your head spin, like it did for me the first couple of hours of the game. So let's break it down, starting with the early game grind experience. In your first few hours, one of the biggest barriers is farming for basic resources. I'm talking about stuff like ferrite, alloy plate, polymer bundles, and a little bit later stuff like organ cells for higher or mid-tier loot, baby. You might think, oh, I'll just do a couple of missions and get what I need. Wrong. Warframe's economy is like running a marathon while collecting coins scattered on a track. You can do it, but it takes time, planning, and also just a bit of luck. And that's not even to mention the journey of filling out your arsenal to get started on the grind. At about the 10-hour mark, I finally unlocked and got my first companion, the Kubro, and it's actually been quite helpful for me on those solo missions that I do and grind by myself. At the 15-hour mark, I finally got the Archwing, which is super sick. Honestly, it's like using the K-Drive launcher, which is this hoverboard thing that glides close to the ground, but it's just way cooler. As well as purchasing a bunch of weapons and crafting stuff that had no clue what it was even used for. You know what? I just had this analogy that perfectly described what it's like in the very early game resource hunting and farming. You know how farmers herd cattle into that pen and they gather up all the goats or whatever, and some of them will stray far from the path, like to the right or left or whatever. So it's constantly like them going back and forth, making sure everything is maintained while funneling it through this small entrance. Yeah, that's basically what Warframe is like for farming initially, at least early on. And it's not as bad as it sounds as long as you have a path. As long as you understand what you want to do and what you want to go for, and you understand that it's going to take a while and you just stick with that plan. But almost all aspects of this felt like they just came to you so long as you played the game and stuck to a path. But not everything is like that. Let's talk about my personal experience farming some more difficult items like organ cells. As a new player, I thought I could just run a single mission on the assigned planet you find them on and just be done with it. Turns out you need to be a little more patient than that, as you need to have an understanding of spawn rates, resource boosters, and if you're lucky enough, the kindness of veteran players who might carry you on some more of the difficult or harder missions like defending the databases and the escort missions in the open world. It's a grind, but there's something satisfying about finally building that first organ cell dependent weapon or warframe, even if it did come with some assistance and if you don't have it unlocked yet, because there's high unlock requirements and for mastery rank and things like that. It's still very satisfying getting those components and knowing that there's a reward down the line so long as you keep playing the game. Then there are void relics. You'll unlock these early on and they introduce you to Warframe's RNG heavy progression. Farming relics is just step one. You also need to refine them, and luckily this is actually really easy to find, like refined tools, but you also need to hope the drop you want actually appears. It's gambling, but instead of wasting your money, you just waste hours of your life, but you also progress towards something So I'm not sure if wasting is the right word. I think you get the picture though. Now, before I keep going, I would like to clarify something in that I'm just purely grinding for these materials. Most of it, I don't know what it does. I'm looking at the weapons I'm crafting. I'm looking at the upgrades I get for whatever it is, the parts I need for other parts that'll lead me to other parts. And I'm just gathering stuff. I'm like, oh, I need this for that. Okay, I'll go get it. I need this to, it's like a part of an upgrade. Okay, I'll go get it. But I don't actually understand everything, like what everything goes to. So I'm just gathering up components that I need, and I'm just grinding at the same time. So like a mod station, I don't actually know what any of it does. I just know that it helps your character in some way, especially like the mods. You'll just slap any random ones on, and I'll bring that up later, a little bit. But yeah, you just early on you'll most likely just slap them on because they make you feel better, but you'll quickly realize that there's a build strategy to it, and I'm sure veteran players have it down to a T. But for me right now, it's just about grinding it all. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. Now let's get into one of the highlights, which is grinding for Warframes. For me though, it's felt like it's straight up impossible. This is what I gathered through videos I've watched and a bit of in-game knowledge that I've acquired. Each Warframe requires 3 components: the neuroptics, systems, and chassis, and then you need the blueprint to put it all together. Grinding these pieces often means replaying the same missions over and over. I actually only have the Rhino chassis like as the one component part, and that's it. In terms of materials or collecting that I've actually hunted for, I haven't really done the legwork myself yet, as I'm doing other stuff at the moment. And even though I was initially very excited to start it, I realized that it's more along the lines of that 100 to 150 hour entry barrier to start making serious progress on unlocking different warframes. And let me know what y'all have to say about it in the comments. But apparently the real grind is from prime warframes, which obviously I have not even looked at. I've looked a little bit into in order to prepare myself sort of for it, but I've not even attempted to go for stuff like that. When you're new like me, seeing players flexing those shiny primes feels like they're driving a Lamborghini while I'm in a go-kart. But that grind, as it seems to teach you a lot of patience, such as like starting relic missions and hoping for rare drops, which is seems to be a constant theme of this game, which I'm not mad at. I understand that's how games operate sometimes, so it's not a big deal to me. And also the bartering with other players in the game market, like I that's something that's just beyond me for the moment. Right now, I'm just focusing on like things that are in front of me, and that loop, that like loop you can get into in terms of trading and going into the marketplace. That seems really cool. Once I hit like the 150 hour mark, I'll get there, further down the line once I've got my feet under me. But let me know what y'all guys think about that in the comment section about the Warframe grind and what it's actually like, because I don't have any experience with it. I've read up on it a little bit just to sort of prepare myself. And I said I'm taking it slow, but I am still interested to see, I still want to play with everything, right? I'm only on my first Warframe, the Excalibur. I've maxed it out. So, yeah, let me know what y'all think. But Warframes are only half of the story. Grinding for weapons is its own beast. Obviously, you unlock the foundry basically at the start of the game after like the first or second mission you play, and that's where all the crafting happens. At first, you'll want to be focused, at least for a new player, on the basics like the Brayton or the Paris bow, which I've used extensively, and I love those early game weapons. But soon you'll realize the grind isn't just for weapons, it's for parts to build those weapons. Again, like I said, and the parts for those parts, for other parts, for stuff, it can get kind of like it can stack, but I didn't find it hard to follow personally. I found it very interesting how they did it, and usually they would do it. They would tie it up through missions, like for instance, the Kubro, my first companion. I think I had to go get his collar or something. I can't remember. Like at first I had to go get the egg. I think if that was correct, and then something else. And then I crafted, and then I go get his collar, and then I protected it in a mission. So it like follows a basic linear path, I guess. Even though it's a little bit different, that doesn't have anything to do with the foundry, but I feel like it follows the same sort of formula. For me personally, it's very streamlined, and I liked it that way. I can get for other players, for other new players, this might still be too much for them, and I can totally understand that. But I play MMO games, so this was right up my alley, and I liked the crafting and component system for weapons and just other things in Foundry. The mods are also another area that I've had to become familiar with. At first, you'll just slap on anything that makes your weapon, tenno, or companions feel stronger. But as you progress, you realize that the mods are the secret sauce to Warframe. Grinding for specific mods like Serration for damage or Flow for energy is practically just the start of what you can create. To me, it's almost like theory crafting. I'm a big CRPG fan, and this sort of being able to dissolve certain mods that you don't really have a use for, or to like enhance them and get the most of it out of its ability. It's really like theory crafty, and it's really fun to do. It's personally one of the more simpler systems in the game as well. It doesn't take a genius to understand. You enhance mods, they become stronger. You dissolve mods, you get, materials, or like you get something out of it. It's a trade system. So I really like the mod system as well, and it's super fun. I can't wait to see what kind of mods I get in the future. So far, I've just been using the basic ones like increase ability strength by 5% or whatever, or duration, But this is just a tip of the iceberg, as always. If you guys out there know about any early on mods I can use, it'll greatly improve my experience as a new player. Just let me know down below. Also, just to mention, grinding isn't just about gear and components and stuff like that. It's also about your mastery rank. I'm not sure what that does. Again, apparently I don't know what anything does. I just know that the mastery rank always makes me feel like I'm progressing towards something, which I like. However, as a new player, your focus is on clearing the star chart first and foremost, which is a grind in itself. Each planet introduces tough enemies, new resources, and unique missions like the spy and survival missions. I know you should probably get that done, or not. You should probably get introduced to that sooner, but for me, I was occupied, so I only really experienced those missions at around the 15-hour mark. Clearing planets isn't just about new stuff though, it's about progression. You'll hit roadblocks like needing specific warframes or weapons to take on higher level enemies. That's when you really understand that grind is a feedback loop. To progress, you need better gear. To get better gear, you need resources. And to get resources, you need to grind the missions you've already done dozens of times over. And in the background, you're constantly progressing towards your next mastery rank. I'm currently on novice rank 3, and even though a lot of really cool stuff I want is locked until like rank 12 or something for my mastery, it's a nice side goal that's just sort of on the back burner while I focus my attention elsewhere. One thing for me that has softened the blow of grind, however, is the Warframe community. If you're lucky, you'll stumble upon a clan early on. Clans are lifesavers for new players, just to put it bluntly. They provide clan exclusive blueprints for weapons, and I think even warframes, I don't know, don't quote me on that. And often veteran players will be willing to help you farm, and players in the public chat are very helpful with directing you, since you're going to get lost or stuck on something fairly often. I'll be honest though, I've mainly been using my own clan as a quicker QA chat, and sometimes to help me grind material and assistance with that. But once I feel like I can pull my weight, I'll stop mooching off of my clan and actually contribute, because those guys are just super good. My clan, I can put on a podcast in the background and just sort of come along for the ride. They are so good, and I know players say that it doesn't bother them and that they're happy to help, but I want to feel like I can pull my weight as soon as possible. So anyways, now look, I understand I just made the grinding in Warframe as a new player seem super exhausting and unpredictable, and sometimes downright frustrating. And while I admit it's not for everyone, the grind at times is what makes it fun for me. Every time you complete something, whether it's crafting a new Warframe I don't have experience on, but I'm guessing that as well, unlocking a planet or upgrading your mods, you feel a sense of accomplishment. And it's not like other games such as COD or Battlefield that you have these convoluted challenges and progression systems which can be brutal as hell, only to be reset every year or every 2 or 3 years. When you complete something in Warframe, it's done. So you have the confidence that that won't feel like it's been a waste of time, so long as you know how to utilize it and you understand what it is that you want to unlock and go for. You never feel like you're truly wasting your time because you're always progressing towards something. But yeah, that's all I really had to say on my experience and what is likely the experience of new Warframe players in 2024 and beyond. I've heard people say that they've made a lot of improvement, like quality of life improvements, and I would just like to hear from those people. Like, what has your grind been like, even up to this point? I know people say that they've played 1,000 hours. A lot of people commented on my last video said they've played up to 500 to 600 to 700 hours, and they still feel like they're exploring and grinding essentially. So let me know what y'all guys think about it, because of course I'm still just I'm brand new. And for me, it's not been tiring at all. I know I'm only 50 hours in, that it's not even scratching the surface. For some people, they're like 50 hours in scratching the surface. What are you talking about? Like, you should be deep into a game's systems at that point. I don't look at it that way. I look at it as not really as a challenge, but as a long term goal. Something I'm not really looking to, like complete short term. I may not play Warframe every single day, but I'm definitely going to be getting in my logins and stuff like that, just constantly playing and just constantly keeping up with. I can definitely see this being a more long term thing with the amount of just content, just free stuff there is to do. I got to give them credit on that. It seems like I have to compare it to one game that I've recently been playing is Honkai Star World, where there's just so much to do and it's all free stuff, and it's just great. I mean, I don't see how anyone can complain about all free stuff. Even if it is a bit grindy, you don't have to pay any money for it. So, anyways, I'm gonna stop rambling. That's been my experience after 50 hours of Warframe grinding, and let me know what you guys think as well. Anyways, see you next time.